Hi guys, it's TJ here from New Zealand Mysteries. Thanks for tuning in. This is a really important video that I want to put out today, and it comes off the back of a coroner's report into a tragic event that happened in domestic violence excuse me, and the recommendations that the coroner suggested and that have been taken on by New Zealand Police and other agencies in regards to what constitutes different family violence, because domestic violence is not just physical violence, there's other types of domestic violence as well. So I wanted to highlight these today, show what red flags are and where people can go for help, and I'm going to have all the information that we cover today in the description box below, but I'm also going to show it on screen at times as well. So I hope you're ready, and let's get into it. A big warning: this video talks about domestic violence, and discussion is advised. If this is a trigger for you or it's something that you don't want to watch or listen to, please you can stop right now, and if you want help, go to the description box below to find that. I mean no disrespect to any families involved in this video. I am just simply wanting to highlight and educate about red flags and what constitutes domestic violence, and let New Zealanders know where they get help. The first place that I want to go to is stuff.co.nz, and Marty Sharp covered this event and did an amazing story, and it was out on the April the 2nd 2021, so just last month. I want to thank him for doing such an amazing job. Halfway through this we'll stop and show some info where you can get help, which we will do right throughout the show. Another warning that this could be triggering for some people. So no one is to blame for the death of Nairi McKenzie other than the man who killed her. So that's where it starts. Coroner's report tells of erratic, controlling and abusive behaviour that ended in murder. I can't say that word, so let's say murder and shindig. I'm sorry. I couldn't think of anything else. And while a coroner's report on her death encourages agencies to do more work publicising the quote red flags of domestic coercive control, the National Network of Family Violence says it remains a fundamental concern that women and their friends are expected to be alert to the signs rather than insisting the men involved stop their violence or get help. So this is saying that it's not just the lady or the female, or sorry, it could be male or female, but not the victims that have to always be the ones that have to get out and do the work and everything. But we also want to look at the offenders here, because they can realise and listen to these red flags and know that they're not doing things right, and they can get help as well. So it works on both ways. Murray Daly, described by coroner Mary Ann Barrow-Dale as an intensely needy, self-absorbed, repetitive and badgering man, formed a relationship with Nairi McKenzie in 2014. He killed her, then himself, after she ended the relationship 3 years later. Daly wore Nairi down over time, a kind and generous woman who tended to keep things to herself. Nairi, 61, became more isolated from her two daughters and friends as Daly worked to keep her to himself. Very common. Her daughters and friends had grown concerned about Daly, so too had Nairi, but none knew of his history of violence towards other women. In a harrowing 29-page finding released on Friday, Coroner Barrow-Dale traversed the erratic, controlling and abusive behaviour of Daly and said while the women in Mackenzie's and Daly's lives may be inclined to blame themselves for having been powerless to prevent what happened, and he's talking about the daughters, the coroner says it was Daly alone who bears responsibility for the tragic and premature end of Miss Mackenzie's life. The coroner said the circumstances of the tragedy meant she could not make recommendations that may prevent similar deaths in similar circumstances in the future. But she did encourage police, the Ministry for Women and other agencies to, quote, clearly communicate to the public both how to spot domestic coercive control and the fact that such behaviour was now criminally enforceable following the Family Violence Act 2018, which came into force in 2019. Until recently, and at the time of Nairi's death, there were not behaviours for which the police were empowered to intervene or assist victims, the coroner said. Key to recognising coercive controlling behaviours was spotting signs of 5 types of controlling behaviour: economic, threatening, intimidating, isolating, and emotional control. Miss Mackenzie's death is a singular example of what can happen when these behaviours are not seen for the danger signs that they are. Mr. Daly was intensely needy, self-absorbed, repetitive, and badgering, exacting and hectoring in his demands for response and reassurance, and jealous of Ms. Mackenzie's relationship with others, even including her pets, the coroner said. National Network of Family Violence Services, now I'll try and say this, Te Kupunga Whakaitimahi Patunga, CEO Marin Lawler said there remained a, quote, fundamental concern that we continue to expect women, their friends and family to be alert to those red flags rather than assisting men whose behaviour gives rise to the red flags and they recognise their violence and stop to get help. So on screen now is a few places that you can get help, and I'll put these up a couple of times during the show, and also they're going to be in the description box below, and also in the description box below is going to be the links to all the pages that I'm seeing, so you can go to these pages too. So a couple of things: if you or someone else is in immediate danger, always call 111. Women's Refuge, which is for females only, 0800 733 843. 1737 Need to Talk is a free call or text to 1373 to talk to a counsellor. HeyBro helpline, supporting men to be free from violence, 0800 HeyBro, which is 0800 439 276. Are You Okay? 0800 456 450. Youthline, for the younger ones, 0800 376 633. These numbers and this information will be up again soon. So let's carry on here. She said, I think the entire conversation needs to be turned on its head. We need to stop thinking of these things as red flags the victim should be aware of, and instead red flags potential perpetrators should be aware of. The victim in this case wouldn't be dead but for the actions of the perpetrator, and the coroner makes that clear. But we need to also shoot home the responsibility to stop the violence on the perpetrator, rather than relying upon a victim or her friends to amass the sort of evidence the coroner was able to amass or draw those sorts of connections, she said. She continues, for me there needs to be much stronger messaging around things for blokes, like if you're ringing your partner 8 times a day, you're engaging in coercive control. There needs to be much greater focus on making it very clear to those engaging in those behaviours what those behaviours are and how they are not acceptable. She said the findings showed how quickly an abuser's red flags of violence could escalate to murder. She says in this country we tend to think about family violence as daily instances of bruises, black eyes, broken bones and police involvement, she said. The reality is that it is often played out in the form of behaviours where any single instance may seem so minor or trivial that some people would not even consider them, quote, violent. Yet, when amassed together, those behaviours show an escalating pattern of intimidation and control of a victim by the abuser. The Ministry for Women said it referred the finding to the Ministry of Justice's Joint Venture for Family Violence and Sexual Violence. The Joint Venture Business Unit said police were better placed to comment on the findings. So, Superintendent Eric Tibbett, Director of Community Partnerships and Prevention, said that the Mackenzie case was a tragedy and police messaging would be changing as a result, and these would be made public on social media on Friday. Some red flags or warning signs can seem subtle at first but evolve into dangerous patterns of behaviour, he said. The Family Violence Act 2018, which came into force in July 2019, updated the definitions of family violence and abuse to better enable police to prevent and respond to reports of family harm. There is now legal recognition that a number of acts which might otherwise seem minor or trivial may amount to abuse, Tibbett said. And you can bet your bottom dollar we're going to have a look into those very shortly. The tragic death of Nairi Mackenzie. Nairi Mackenzie was 61 when she was killed. She worked as a caregiver for a community health provider and lived in the house she owned on Jellicoe Street, Waipukurau. She had 2 adult daughters and was described by those who knew her as a very kind person, generous and apt to see past others' human faults. She met Murray Daly through an online dating website in 2014. They formed a de facto relationship, and he moved into Mackenzie's house the next year. He was 3 years younger than Nairi. He'd been previously married and had several long-term relationships. He had 3 sons and a daughter. Unknown to Nairi or her friends and family, Daly was known to police who had received reports of domestic violence involving him in 1994 and 2006. His previous relationship lasted 19 years and ended in 2014 after a violent incident. Daly's ex-partner and daughter described him as violent and highly controlling. It was not unusual for him to send 5 text messages within 10 minutes if he wanted to know where they were. He threatened to kill his partner and assaulted his daughter several times. There was no evidence that Nairi or her loved ones were aware of Daly's violence towards women. And it's really tough because I try to think of myself as a non-judgmental person, and people change and people deserve, respect and not to be judged if you don't know them, I guess. But then on the other hand, you've got to be so careful as well. It's pretty tough. A work accident in 2012 left him in chronic pain and made him depressed. He tried to take his life in early 2015. Nairi's relationship with Daly was of concern to her adult daughters who lived elsewhere. They thought he was a peculiar, selfish, jealous and untrustworthy man who sat around all day while their mother did everything for him. Her friends said Daly appeared to bring her down and she was supporting him financially. Text messages retrieved by the coroner bear out Daly's, quote, possessive and controlling attitude towards Nairi. They also revealed that he was arranging to meet other women for sexual encounters. By early 2017, Mackenzie had had enough, and in May that year she told her daughters she had told Daly to leave. His text messages reveal his volatility. He would hound Mackenzie with messages claiming she didn't love him, then apologise, then blame her for making him feel bad. It was relentless. He would go from sending a text to a woman he was sexually involved with saying he had split up with Nairi to texting Nairi saying he loved her and wanted to remain together. Mr. Daly's neediness and unwillingness to accept it was over between them remained clear, the coroner said. The texting and hounding became increasingly hostile. On the evening of May 17, one of Nairi's daughters became so concerned at Daly's threats to turn up at her mother's house, she rang police, who called Daly and told him to stay away. Nairi's daughters implored her to end the relationship. She said she had, and it's all over now, thank Christ. Daly had stopped living at Nairi's house but returned on May the 27th, telling her he was leaving for a job in the South Island on June the 3rd. A friend texted Nairi at around 9 a.m. on June the 3rd, asking, "Has he gone?" "Not yet," Mackenzie replied. The friend became concerned when she did not hear from Nairi during the day. She became more worried when she drove past the house and saw Daly's car was still there. She went to the police that evening, and they went to Jellicoe Street house, where they found Nairi's body in her bed and Daly dead in the garage. Before taking his own life, Daly had killed Mackenzie's dog, Harper, as well. Phew, this is a tough one, isn't it? On the dining room table was a notepad with indentations showing that messages had been written on a sheet that had been removed. The original notes were never found, but expert analysis of the indentations revealed they had been written by Daly and blamed Mackenzie's daughters for her death. I hope her daughters don't take on any guilt for this. There's nothing they could have done. They did everything they could for their mum. Coroner Borrowdale said while there was no witnesses to what occurred, she was satisfied that Daly had killed Nairi. Quote, "I have found that the evidence, and in particular the witness accounts and text messages obtained from the devices of the protagonists, paints a powerful picture of this tragedy," she said. The coroner said Nairi made it clear to Daly that the relationship was over, but it is also evident that Mr. Daly had not given up hope of reconciling with Miss Mackenzie, and that to the end he continued to seek ways to connect with her, hear from her, and be in her house, even when it was clear that this is not what she wanted. The coroner said it was likely that Daly's emotional volatility caused him to violently lose control of his emotions when confronted by Ms. Mackenzie's desire to end the relationship. The cruelty evident in the attack on Miss Mackenzie's beloved dog speaks to the degree of emotional dysregulation and anger that Mr. Daly must have exhibited at her house on the 3rd of June 2017, the coroner said. So, it's just a tragic story, and I mean no disrespect to the families involved, but this is a story that has got a lot of things that people need to hear and people need to know about. I think it's very, very important. So I really thank those families, and thank Marty Sharp for this wonderful article. That's the word I'm looking for. So just before we go on to the police website for some more details, I'm just going to show the information one more time, or another time. Some other numbers. Shine, free call 0508 744 633 between 9 and 11, and that's for both men and women. Family Violence Information Line 0800 456 450. Kidsline 0800 54 3754, and that's for people or kids up to 18 years old, and that's 24/7. Alright, let's move on. Okay, we're moving on to the police website, police.govt.nz. So on the main page here, we want to go to advice and services, and over here we want to go to family violence. And we're going to look at a few things here. Help for family violence. Family harm is a high priority for police, and reducing the number and impact of family harm episodes is a key police strategy. Police take every opportunity to prevent harm and reduce the offending and victimisation. Police are committed to a prompt, effective and nationally consistent approach to family harm episodes in collaboration with other agencies, iwi, and with community partners. Family violence can be physical, sexual, or psychological. It is not a private matter, it is a crime. Preventing and effectively responding to family violence is one of the greatest opportunities to improve the well-being and safety of our communities, and we all have a role to play. Remember, if you or someone you know is in danger, immediate danger, call 111. The call could save a life. Signs that someone is being harmed by a member of their family include controlling behaviour, intimidation, threats to kill, strangulation and choking, physical or sexual violence, jealousy or possessiveness, stalking. Children living in homes where family violence is present may be fearful, be silent and withdraw, be aggressive, be unusually well behaved, show signs of violence or bruising, suddenly change behaviour, often be absent from school. And remember, these aren't in every case, but these are the most common. People experiencing family violence may be fearful or nervous, isolated or reclusive, sad or angry, lacking in confidence, keeping secrets, worried about a loved one's reaction. If you suspect someone close to you is a victim of family violence, it is okay to get involved, and you could save a life. You could ask them, are you okay? Is someone hurting you? Is there anything I can do? Other tips include: always call police if you think someone is in danger. Talk about having a safety plan. Listen and take what they are saying seriously. Don't tell them what to do. Let them make their own decisions, however long it may take. Give support, not advice. So I guess that's a tough one, isn't it? So there's a lot of places here, and I've got a lot of them on my info sheet, but you know, if you want to come to here to have a look at the extra ones there, you can just go to the description box and there will be a link. Now also, I'm not going to go through them, but on here there is advice about protection orders, how to get one, find people who will help, and how to apply for the order, applications in the family court, so everything you need to know about that. There's also information on police safety orders, information for the protected person, information for the bound person, and further information and support. So really good place to come to if this is something that you are suffering from or going through, or you know somebody who is going through this and you want to get more information on what you can do or where you can go. This is a great place to come. So we've got one more place to look at. I'm sure on TV you have seen and heard the ads that say it is okay to ask for family or ask for help. Family violence is not okay. And the good thing about this place here is that it is for the victim, and it's also for the offenders as well. If you're an offender and you recognize that you may be doing some of these red flags and think, oh my God, you know, or you're engaged in domestic violence and you want help and you want to get out of this, this is the place to come. It's really, really good. So it is areyouok.org.nz, their phone number 0800 456 450. So it talks about what is considered family violence, the danger signs, the law statistics, warning signs, experience violence, that's I need to help, I want to help, what are the signs, what if they get angry, I want change, personal stories, which will be tough to read, and then there's resources and research, and these are great places. Even if you're not a victim or an offender, you are a family, this is a great place for information, resources, helping you out. Right. This isn't an easy video to do, and I didn't want to go on forever and look at shitloads of resources and shitloads of stories. I wanted to make it just the right amount of a personal story, where you can go for help, and also to put those red flags out there so people know what they are, and also to say to the offenders, everyone can change. I firmly believe that. So if you want help to stop your offending, it's just as much your responsibility, or all of your responsibility, to get help to change it. And if you're a victim, you've got to reach out, you've got to be safe, use all these resources, go to the description box below, they'll all be there. And remember, if someone is in immediate trouble, call 111. That's very important. Thanks for hanging out today. I hope you like it, so give it a like and subscribe. Also hit the notification bell to all, so you can get any updates or any videos notified when I release them. Please share this out to as many people as you can. I hope this gives information that's needed, and it's a video that people will watch and really take in the information. Thank you very much for those subscribers who come back every time to see me. Thank you for the new ones for giving me a chance. nzmissing@gmail.com. If you want to get hold of me or suggest case stories, we're on podcast, we are on Facebook. And thank you to those who went to buymeacoffee.com/NZ Mysteries and bought me a $3 coffee to support the channel. You rock. We will see you next time.